Welcome back. Today, we are diving into the world of United Kingdom 50 pence coins, a fascinating area for collectors and investors alike. Over the years, the 50 pence has become one of the most collected denominations in British coinage, with certain years, mint marks, and conditions making some examples far more valuable than others. In this video, we'll explore the top 5 most valuable UK 50 pence coins, breaking down the story behind each one, their rarity, their market value in different conditions, and why collectors are so eager to own them. Let's get started. First up, the United Kingdom 50 pence coin dated 1983, with a special focus on what fine condition means, how rare this coin really is, and what you can realistically expect to see at auction in US dollars. I'll walk you through the coin story, the particulars that collectors watch for, the ways condition changes value especially when a coin is worn or damaged, and practical selling and collecting tips so you don't get dazzled by viral headlines. This video is for collectors who want a clear, evidence-based picture. The 1983 50p is a classic circulation Britannia piece, interesting, collectible in its own way, but not a secret jackpot in most grades. The 50 pence piece was introduced at decimalisation in 1969, and the classic seated Britannia reverse is the design you'll find on the 1983 issue. The large-size 50p struck in 1983 was part of steady decimal-era minting. The total mintage for the 1983 Britannia 50p runs into the tens of millions, making it one of the common circulation dates from that era. Because so many were produced, most loose examples you find in pocket change or on auction sites are common and command only modest premiums unless they're in unusually high grades or come from specialist sets. Wikipedia Numismatic Guarantee Company. The obverse on 1983 coins carries Queen Elizabeth II's portrait used at the time, and the reverse shows Britannia seated with a trident and shield, a motif by Christopher Ironside that had become instantly recognizable to a generation of collectors and spenders. Physically, the 1983 50p is the larger pre-1997 size, made in cupronickel, with a characteristic equilateral curve heptagon 7-sided, but constant width shape introduced in 1969. There are also distinct mint set and proof varieties from 1983 mint set pieces, and limited proof strikes issued in presentation sets that are struck to higher finish standards than everyday circulation coins. Those specific set or proof examples are what to watch if you want something rarer than an ordinary circulated 50p. Wikipedia Online Coin Club. When a coin is graded fine by numismatic standards, it shows wear across high points but still retains clear major details. The lettering, outlines of Britannia and the portrait remain readable, though surfaces are worn and luster is largely gone. In everyday terms, a fine 1983 50p will usually look well worn but intact. Because so many 1983 50p pieces were minted, even coins in fine or very fine grades are not rare. They are plentiful and trade at low premiums over face value. That said, unique error coins struck off scent, badly clipped, double struck, or with unusual planchette defects or visually interesting damage that tells a story can attract specialist interest, but such finds are exceptional and should be authenticated before you assume they're valuable. On the open market today, ordinary circulated 1983 50p coins, including those in fine condition, generally sell for only a few US dollars. Listings and price guides show typical sale values for circulated examples in the single dollar to low teens range, while higher-grade brilliant uncirculated circulation examples often trade for modest collector premiums, roughly a few dollars to around $436,000 depending on the seller and presentation. Proof 1983 50p coins or examples from certified mint sets command higher prices. Retail listings for proof pieces and box sets commonly show prices in the range of tens of dollars. For example, typical marketplace offers around $15 for a 1983 proof coin, which converts to roughly $334,000 depending on exchange rates at time of sale. By contrast, everyday eBay and marketplace sales for circulated examples frequently close in the $214,000 bracket. If you see headlines claiming massive 7-figure prices for a run-of-the-mill 1983 50p, treat them with extreme caution. The mainstream numismatic sources and auction records do not support those claims for normal mintages and normal varieties. Over the last few years, social media and viral videos have repeatedly hyped certain UK decimal coins as being worth hundreds of thousands or even millions, with dramatic thumbnails and clickbait titles. The 1983 50p occasionally appears in those viral rounds, often without provenance or auction evidence. While sensational videos or posts can show a headline claim, for example a clip claiming an uncirculated 1983 50p is valued at $224,000, those claims are not corroborated by reputable auction results or respected price guides. They are almost always mistakes, misunderstandings about mint errors, or outright misinformation. Always ask for verifiable auction results, condition photographs, third-party certification, and provenance before accepting extraordinary valuations. In short, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The exact variety, exceptional condition highly graded by a leading grading service, and provenance or a documented rarity sold through a respected auction house. For the 1983 50p, scarcity is not in the normal circulation strike, scarcity is in the small batch proof strikes, mint set inclusions, true mint errors with documented provenance, or specimens with exceptional, near-perfect surfaces that earn high certified grades. Auctions that produce top results are typically specialist numismatic sales or major houses where coins are clearly photographed, certified, and well described. Random classifieds or sensational social posts rarely produce reliable high prices. If you plan to consign a specimen to auction, choose a numismatic auctioneer with a track record in British modern coinage and be realistic about grade-based price bands when setting reserves. Next up, the United Kingdom 50 new pence from 1979, the large, seven-sided 50p that circulated around Britain for decades. We'll cover its history, what makes it visually and historically interesting, how rare it actually is in circulation grade condition, what collectors and auction results tell us about its dollar value today, and practical tips if you found one in your change. Let's dive in. The 50 new pence coin was introduced after decimalization, and the large heptagonal 50p design remained in circulation from 1969 through the early 1980s. The 1979 issue carries the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II and the classic Britannia reverse design by Christopher Ironside. The 1979 circulation strike was minted in large numbers. Recorded mintage figures show tens of millions of pieces produced, making the year a mass circulation issue rather than a deliberate low mintage rarity. Physically, the 1979 50p is instantly recognizable. An equilateral curved heptagon, 7 sides, 30 mm across, and made from cupronickel. Visually, it pairs the Machin second portrait obverse with Britannia seated on the reverse, a classic, much-loved combination. Beyond design, a useful distinction for collectors is between circulation strikes and proof or special mint issues, which were struck to higher finish standards and often had much smaller mintages. Proof and mint set examples from that year are a different market entirely. Numisty Bay, here's the blunt truth. A 1979 circulated 50p in fine condition is common. The circulation mintage for 1979 is large enough that most surviving specimens are plentiful on the market, and the normal circulated examples do not command large premiums. That doesn't mean all 1979 50ps are worthless. Exceptionally high grades, specific die varieties, or error coins can be interesting, but for the average worn or fine coin, collector demand is modest and prices reflect that. Reference price guides and marketplaces classify the 1979 large 50p as a common circulation coin. If you're wondering what's one worth in right now, look at the market. Typical listings for circulated 1979 50p coins on secondary marketplaces show asking prices in the single-digit to low double-digit US dollar range for ordinary circulated examples, often around $216,000 depending on condition and seller. By contrast, proof examples, or coins graded gem or higher, can fetch noticeably more, and specialist auctions sometimes list higher estimates when a particularly high-grade piece or unusual provenance is present. In short, for a circulated fine 1979 50p, expect modest dollar value. For proof or exceptional grades, expect a premium. Example sales and listings across online auction sites and price guides illustrate this spread. eBay plus one live auctioneers. You may see auction lots with wide estimate ranges. Occasionally a single high-grade example in a specialist auction will draw attention and receive a much higher price. But isolated high results don't change the baseline market for typical circulated pieces. When reading auction estimates and sold prices, look for realized sale prices and for multiple comparable sales. That gives you a reliable median value instead of one headline outlier. Auction databases and price guides are useful for spotting trends. They confirm that ordinary 1979 circulation strikes routinely trade cheaply while proofs and graded pieces sit in a separate If you found a 1979 50p and want to know what to do next, here are clear, practical steps. Do not clean the coin. Cleaning harms value. Assess condition roughly. Circulated, fine, worn versus uncirculated, honest condition determines value more than the year for common issues. Check for obvious errors. True errors can be worth substantially more. If you believe you have an uncirculated or proof example, consider a professional grading or at least photographing and listing on marketplaces with clear images and measurements. For a quick sale, check recent completed listings on major auction platforms to set a realistic price expectation. If you're starting a collection, consider targeting full set goals rather than chasing single common circulation dates. Those strategies will maximize collector enjoyment and long-term value. To sum up, the 1979 50p with Britannia is a beautiful piece of decimal-era British coinage and an appealing find in pocket change, but as a circulated, fine-condition 1979 coin it's common, and market values tend to be modest single to low double digits in for ordinary examples. Proofs, very high grades, and genuine varieties or errors form the exceptions that attract much higher prices. If you've got one, treat it gently, check for errors, and use recent completed auction results to set expectations before you sell. Next up, the 1982 United Kingdom 50 pence piece in circulated, fine condition. This is the larger pre-1997 50p with the classic Britannia reverse and the Machin portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse. In straight terms, it's not one of the headline rarities that sells for thousands, but it's a historically interesting, widely collected piece whose market behavior is useful to understand if you're buying, selling, or just curious. For context, I'll explain where the coin came from, what makes it distinctive, how often collectors pursue damaged or circulated examples, what prices you'll typically see in dollars, and practical tips to avoid costly mistakes when trading these coins. Sources for mintage and typical market listings are noted. The 1982 50 pence belongs to the original, larger 50p series introduced in 1969 and produced in that larger size up until the redesign and size reduction of 1997. Its reverse features the seated Britannia holding trident and shield, a Christopher Ironside design that remained a staple of the series, and the obverse carries the Machin portrait of the Queen used on circulating issues of that era. The Royal Mint records a very large mintage for the 1982 Britannia 50p, which explains why this date is common in circulation and why unremarkable circulated examples are inexpensive compared with genuinely scarce commemorative or error coins. Unique features of the coin. Physically, the coin is a copper-nickel heptagonal, seven-sided, curve of constant width piece, a distinctive shape that made the 50p instantly recognizable. Design-wise, the 1982 reverse shows Britannia seated with her lion, shield, and trident. The obverse carries the Arnold Machin portrait of the Queen. There are no widely documented, high-value die varieties or single-year emergency errors for the plain 1982 crowned Britannia circulation strikes that would routinely push this date into high-value territory. The value story for this year is therefore driven mostly by condition, whether it's a brilliant uncirculated piece or simply a worn, everyday coin. There are, of course, separate Isle of Man, Irish and special issue 50p pieces from 1982 that are different coins. Be sure you're looking at the UK Britannia 50p specifically. New Mr. +1. Condition. Because the 1982 Britannia 50p had a very large mintage, Royal Mint figures list the date among high mintage years. Truly rare examples are unusual to find in ordinary circulation. In circulated grades, including what collectors call fine, this coin is common, and demand is generally modest. Collectors who want a complete set will buy circulated examples to fill holes, but specialist collectors pay premiums only for certified high grades, proofs, or genuine error coins. That said, circulated pieces with interesting provenance, unusual toning, or attractive eye appeal can still attract attention from budget collectors and online buyers, but those sales normally occur at modest prices. As of recent marketplace activity and price guides, typical circulated fine condition 1982 UK 50p coins commonly sell for only a few US dollars, often in the $434,000 range on general online marketplaces, with the lower end representing large bulk sales and the higher end for nicer circulated pieces or lots marketed to collectors. Brilliant uncirculated Royal Mint issues and certified coins are higher. Many BU examples and specialist mint sets can trade for roughly $214,000 or more, which is in the neighborhood of $15 plus depending on exchange rates. Significant auction grade sales for ordinary circulation 1982 50p are rare, When they do appear, they are often for special presentations, unusual certified grades, or proof commemorative variants rather than the standard circulated strike. Practical tips if you're handling or trading a 1982 50p. First, identify the exact coin UK Britannia circulation strike vs Isle of Man or other 1982 50p issue. Second, grade conservatively. A fine coin will show even wear and will rarely command more than a small premium. Third, check for errors or unusual features, double strikes, off-centers, planchet defects, because those are what can add real value. Fourth, compare completed sales on marketplaces and auction houses rather than asking prices. Listings can overstate value. And finally, if you want a high-value return, invest instead in certified higher grades PCGS NGC or in the limited mint brilliant uncirculated proof issues rather than ordinary circulated pieces. 4. Bulk selling. Coin dealers and lot sales are often the fastest routes, while single nicer pieces are better placed on auction platforms targeted at collectors. PCGS London coins. The 1982 UK 50 pence in circulated fine condition is an accessible, historically interesting coin, not a goldmine for most owners, but an important fill for set collectors and a useful learning piece for newcomers. Large mintage figures keep the coin common in circulation, which keeps typical prices low single-digit dollars in most cases, while the real opportunities for premium value lie in rarities, certified high grades, proofs, and genuine errors. If you're buying, check recent completed sales and consider certification for more valuable specimens. Next up, the 1969 United Kingdom 50 pence 50p, the original, large heptagonal new pence 50p struck when Britain prepared to decimalize. In this video we'll explain what this coin is and why it still finds its way into collectors' bargains and auction lots. We'll cover its history and design, the physical and identifying features to watch for, how common or rare it really is even when damaged, what it typically fetches on the market today in US dollars, and practical tips for collectors who want to buy, sell, or safely store one. Sources for the facts in this video are linked in the description. Wikipedia. Royal Mint. History and background. The 50p coin was introduced as part of Britain's long road to decimalisation. It was first issued on the 14th of October 1969 as the 50 new pence piece and was notable for being the world's first circulating seven-sided coin using an equilateral curve heptagon, a rouleau's polygon, so it would feed reliably through vending machines while remaining easily identifiable by touch. The first reverse design shows Britannia seated with a lighthouse and ship in the distance, a classical motif carried over from earlier British coinage. The large 1969 to 1981 50p 13.5G 30mm remained in circulation until it was replaced by a smaller 50p in the late 1990s. The old, larger 50p was demonetized on the 28th of February 1998. The Royal Mint and reference sites document the coin's technical specs and the year-by-year mintages. Unique features of the coin. If you're handling a 1969 50p, a few quick identifiers tell you what you have. Its large seven-sided shape, significantly larger than later 50p pieces, a weight of about 13.5 grams and a copper-nickel composition, 75% copper, 25% nickel, and on the reverse the classic Britannia seated design used on the earliest decimal 50p issues. The obverse will show the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the young Machin portrait used at the time. Collectors often look for crispness of the Britannia design, original mint luster, and minimal wear on the high points. Those are the things that move a grade from fine into very fine and higher. The headline truth. The 1969 50p was minted in very large numbers. Over 188 million pieces were struck in 1969 alone, so a circulated piece is not rare in the sense of low mintage. That said, rarity is relative. High-grade, well-preserved examples from that first issue are scarcer today because most circulated heavily and many were later withdrawn or melted down after redesigns. Even damaged pieces can attract interest if the damage is unusual striking errors, strong planchet flaws, or attractive circulation patina, but ordinary damage, scratches, deep nicks, or heavy environmental toning generally reduces auction value rather than increasing it. In short, common in quantity, but top examples and genuine errors varieties can be collectible. Current market value in dollars. So what does a 1969 50p actually sell for? For a common circulated example graded around fine, the grade you asked about, typical auction and marketplace results in recent years show modest prices, usually in the single digits to low double digits in US dollars. Online auction listings and collectors' price guides put everyday circulated 1969 50p coins often between roughly $625,000 depending on where, seller, and listing fees. Uncirculated or certified higher grade pieces can reach substantially higher prices, and genuine mint errors and extraordinary specimens will sometimes fetch multiples of typical listings at specialist auctions. Always check recent completed auction sales for current realized prices because market demand fluctuates. See links to price guides and sample sales in the description. eBay NGC. If you want to buy, sell, or identify a 1969 50p, here are practical tips. Inspect condition carefully. Fine means visible wear but all major details are present. Borderline coins sell cheaply, while well-struck examples with minimal wear command premiums. Look for variety or error. Off-cent strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, or unusual die clashes can be worth far more, but have them authenticated by a reputable grader before paying up. Use realized sales, not asking prices. Completed auctions and sold listings give a true sense of what buyers are actually willing to pay. eBay Buy It Now listings show asking prices, but filter for sold to find realized sale prices. Consider certification for higher grades. If a coin looks uncirculated or has an unusual feature, slab certification by NGC, PCGS, or a respected regional equivalent can increase buyer confidence and often brings higher sale prices. Storage and handling. Handle by the edge, store in inert holders. And avoid cleaning ruined surface and collector value. These steps will help you avoid overpaying and will protect value when you resell. NGC Online Coin Club. Conclusion: the 1969 United Kingdom 50 pence is a fascinating piece. Historically important, the first circulating heptagonal decimal 50p, mechanically clever in shape, and numerically common, yet it still rewards careful collectors because the very best specimens, authentic errors, and high grades are relatively scarce today. If you already have one in a jar of change, check its condition. A fine example will most likely be worth a few dollars at auction, but an uncirculated or error specimen could be worth substantially more. As always, rely on recent realized sales, reputable graders, and trusted references like the Royal Mint and leading price guides when valuing coins. If you'd like, I can compile a short checklist you can use when inspecting a 1969 50p in person, or pull together recent sold auction results for a specific grade. Tell me which and I'll fetch them. Royal Mint NGC. Next up, the United Kingdom 50 pence coin from the year 1980. This particular coin, especially in very fine condition, has become an interesting piece in the collector's market. While at first glance it might seem like an ordinary circulation coin, its historical background, design, and current market value in dollars make it worth a closer look. If you own one, or are thinking of adding it to your collection, this video will give you everything you need to know about its rarity, demand, and value. The 1980 50 pence coin belongs to the original larger-sized 50 pence series that circulated in the United Kingdom before the reduced-size version was introduced in 1997. The 50 pence coin was first issued in 1969 to replace the old 10-shilling note, and for nearly 3 decades, it maintained its distinctive heptagonal shape. In 1980, the design remained consistent with Britannia, the female personification of Britain, seated beside a lion, holding her trident and shield. This coin was struck during a period when millions were entering circulation, making it a common sight in people's pockets at the time. The 1980 50 pence is made from cupronickel, with a weight of 13.5 grams and a diameter of 30 millimeters. Its unique equilateral heptagon shape, with 7 equal sides, set it apart from any other coin in circulation and made it easily recognizable by touch alone. The obverse of the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Arnold Machin, where the Queen is wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. This particular portrait was used on coins between 1968 and 1984, making it an important transitional period for British coinage collectors. When we talk about rarity, the 1980 50 pence is not considered scarce in circulation numbers. Over 89 million were struck, so finding one is not difficult. However, the real challenge for collectors comes with condition. In worn or damaged condition, these coins are still very common and do not attract much premium. Collectors rarely seek heavily worn examples, unless they are looking for placeholders in a set. But in very fine condition, meaning the coin shows light wear with most details still sharp, The value rises as demand increases from enthusiasts who want clean examples of this classic Britannia design before the smaller coins were introduced. Now, let's talk about money, the most important part for many collectors. A United Kingdom 1980 50 pence coin in very fine condition typically sells for around $325,000 in the auction market. This may not seem like much, but it is significantly higher than its face value when converted. In extremely fine or uncirculated condition, however, collectors are willing to pay between $122,000, depending on demand and the quality of the strike. Damaged or heavily worn examples, on the other hand, usually trade only for their face value or slightly above, as they are considered too common. If you're interested in collecting the 1980 50 pence, there are a few tips to keep in mind. First, always pay attention to condition. Coins in very fine or better grades hold the best long-term value. Second, consider storing your coin properly in a protective holder to prevent scratches or tarnishing, which can greatly affect its desirability. Third, if you are building a complete collection of large-sized 50 pence coins, make sure to include the 1980 as it represents part of the rich Britannia series that was eventually phased out in 2008. Lastly, check reputable coin dealers or online auction sites, as prices can vary depending on the market and availability. In conclusion, while the 1980 United Kingdom 50 pence coin may not be one of the rarest coins in British history, it holds a special place for collectors of pre-1997 large-sized issues. Its classic Britannia design, combined with the charm of Queen Elizabeth II's early portrait, makes it a desirable piece in very fine condition. With a current market value ranging from a few dollars to well above its face value, it continues to attract attention among enthusiasts. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe for more coin deep dives, and drop a comment if you've ever found